One moment, everything flows smoothly like a gentle stream. The next, we are swept into whirlwinds of stress, chaos, and uncertainty. Honestly, that is the very nature of growth, a series of unforeseen challenges that force us to face things we were never prepared for. But amid these storms, is there a way to keep our minds steady? Is there a way to train ourselves to remain calm, no matter what happens around us? The answer is yes. Calmness is not something distant or exclusive to sages and extraordinary individuals. It is a skill, a habit that can be cultivated daily. And it all begins with mastering our own minds. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Stoicism teaches us that tranquility does not come from controlling the external world, but from mastering our response to it. In this journey, we will explore practical ways to train our minds, to maintain composure even in the most chaotic situations. Because, in the end, life is not about dodging unexpected curveballs, but about learning the art of embracing them. 1. Control your mind, or let it control you. Has your mind ever felt like an enemy? Have you ever felt like your own mind was working against you? Unwanted thoughts invade your head, negative emotions explode beyond your control, and then you act in ways you later regret. This is not uncommon. The human mind is a complex entity, easily swept away by immediate emotions such as anxiety, fear, anger, or disappointment. But the crucial question is, do you control your mind, or does it control you? Imagine you are at a party, enjoying a peaceful and comfortable evening. You're engaged in a pleasant conversation with a few friends when suddenly, someone makes a negative remark about you in front of everyone. A sharp comment, an unintentional or deliberate criticism. If your mind is untrained, what will happen? A surge of offense arises instantly, your heartbeat quickens, and your self-esteem takes a hit. You feel the urge to react immediately, to retaliate, to defend yourself, or even to leave the party in anger. But pause for a moment. Is that truly you? Or is it merely an impulsive reaction of your mind when hurt? Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, once said, "We suffer not from the events in our lives, but from our judgment about them." His words serve as a wake-up call. It is how we interpret an event that determines our emotions, not the event itself. If you perceive that negative remark as an insult, you will feel hurt. If you see it as just another subjective opinion, it will pass without leaving a trace in your mind. Stoicism does not teach us to suppress our emotions, but to master them. Control does not mean forcing yourself not to feel anger or pain, but rather not allowing those emotions to dictate your actions. When faced with negativity, a Stoic practitioner takes a pause, observing their internal reactions as an outsider. They recognize their rising anger, acknowledge the feeling of hurt, but do not act upon it. Let's return to the party scenario. Instead of letting anger control you, you can choose a different response. Take a deep breath. Pause before reacting. Look directly at the person who criticized you, not with a challenging glare, but with calmness. You understand that their words hold no power over your value unless you allow them to. You can respond gently or even just smile and let it go, because you know that your reaction is what truly matters, not someone else's words. This approach not only helps you avoid negative consequences from impulsive reactions, but also makes others reflect on their own actions. When someone provokes you but does not receive the reaction they expected, They become more unsettled than you. They anticipate anger, resistance, but what they get instead is composed silence. That is the power of mastering your own mind. Training your mind in Stoicism is not an easy journey. It requires continuous practice, starting from small situations in daily life. When you encounter a reckless driver on the road, you can react with frustration, or you can remind yourself that you cannot control others, only your own reactions. When someone says something hurtful, you can let negative emotions take over, or you can remind yourself that their words do not define you. Controlling your mind does not mean becoming emotionless. On the contrary, it allows you to live a freer life, one less burdened by impulsive reactions. It gives you the power to choose how you feel, how you respond, and most importantly, how you live. Because in the end, if you do not control your mind, it will surely control you. 2. Anger doesn't solve problems. Anger is a natural human reaction, but when we allow it to take control, we lose the ability to think clearly and act wisely. In those moments, it may feel like we are reclaiming control by yelling, resisting, or taking our frustration out on others. However, in reality, anger rarely helps us solve problems. It only adds fuel to the fire, making the situation worse. Imagine you are driving on a busy highway one morning. You are maintaining a steady speed when suddenly, another car cuts in front of you without any warning. Your heart races, and a surge of anger flares up instantly. A sense of injustice and offense floods your mind. If you don't control it, you might slam on the accelerator to chase the car, honk loudly, or even shout inside your vehicle though no one can hear you. But take a moment and ask yourself, will this reaction improve the situation? If you let yourself be consumed by anger, what might happen? You could cause an accident, put yourself in a dangerous confrontation, and most importantly, you lose the calmness that you could have chosen to maintain. According to Stoicism, we cannot control the actions of others, but we can absolutely control our own reactions. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This is the key to managing anger. When someone does something that upsets you, instead of reacting immediately, pause, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, is this truly worth losing my peace over? If the answer is no, then that anger is not worth your attention. Anger is not the enemy, it is a signal. It signals that something is wrong, that we feel hurt, disrespected, or treated unfairly. But instead of using it as an excuse to explode, we should see it as a reminder to identify the real issue. When someone hurts you, do you need to lash out immediately, or should you reflect on why their actions affected you so much? When facing injustice, does yelling change the situation, or should you find a smarter approach to protect your rights? No matter how chaotic the world is, or how unreasonable people can be, your true power lies in how you respond. Someone may try to offend you, but you have the power to not let it disturb your inner peace. There is a common misconception that staying silent or not reacting immediately is a sign of weakness. In reality, the opposite is true. Controlling anger requires a high level of discipline and inner mastery. The person who loses their temper the fastest is often the one who has the least control. On the other hand, the one who can stand in the middle of a storm, observing without being swept away, is the strongest. And this leads us to a deeper truth. Calmness is not weakness, it is strength. But why? What makes silence a more powerful weapon than any words? The answer will make you reflect, and that is exactly what we will explore next. 3. Calmness is not weakness, it's strength. Society seems to assume that those who are loud, physically strong, or ready to confront others are the ones with real power. In meetings, the loudest speaker is often perceived as the most influential. In arguments, the angriest person appears to be the winner. But if you look deeper, you will see a different reality. True strength lies in self-control, not outbursts. The person who can remain calm even in the most difficult circumstances is not only strong, but also the master of themselves. When someone raises their voice at you, the natural human reaction is to retaliate. You may feel threatened, insulted, and want to respond immediately. But take a moment to ask yourself, does that reaction help you win? In most cases, it only puts you at a disadvantage, turning you into a puppet of emotions. The other person's anger controls you, making you lose clarity and turning the conversation into an endless confrontation. A truly strong person understands that calmness is not passivity or surrender, but a deliberate strategy. Maintaining composure means you do not allow others to manipulate your emotions or let external circumstances dictate your inner state. It is this calmness that gives you the greatest power, the ability to control yourself. Imagine you are in an important meeting. A colleague, either dissatisfied or wanting to overpower you, suddenly refutes your opinion in a harsh tone. The entire room falls silent. All eyes turn to you, waiting to see how you will react. At this moment, you have two choices. First, retaliate immediately, defending your opinion with the same harsh tone, turning the discussion into a personal confrontation. Second, stay calm, observe the other person's reaction, take a deep breath, and respond in a composed yet firm manner. If you choose the first option, the meeting will likely become more tense, with everyone getting drawn into conflict rather than seeking solutions. But if you choose the second option, you will earn the respect of the entire room. Your composure not only neutralizes the attack, but also allows you to respond in a more convincing and rational manner. Mahatma Gandhi is the most vivid example of the power of calmness and persistence. When facing the harsh rule of the British Empire, instead of resorting to violence, he followed the principles of ahimsa, non-violence, and satyagraha, insistence on truth. Under his leadership, millions of Indians participated in peaceful protests, marches, and civil disobedience. One of the most remarkable events was the Salt March of 1930, when Gandhi led a group of people on a 380-kilometer walk to protest the British salt tax. They were unarmed. They did not incite violence. They simply walked. Yet this seemingly weak action shook the very foundation of the British Empire. Their oppressors resorted to violence, but Gandhi and his followers remained composed, earning worldwide admiration. He proved that real power does not lie in brute force, but in the ability to control oneself and remain steadfast in righteousness. The truth is that those who lose their temper easily are not as strong as they think. Those who shout, threaten, or overreact are actually exposing their own weakness, a lack of self-control. They cannot master their own emotions, so they try to dominate others through aggression. But if you do not react as they expect, they lose their advantage. When you control your reactions, you not only disarm your opponent, but also affirm an important truth. You are the one in charge of the situation, not them. Remaining calm in difficult situations is not just a skill, it is a reflection of dignity. It shows that you do not let yourself be dragged down by negative emotions or allow anyone else to dictate your mood. A truly strong person does not need to shout to prove themselves. They do not need to assert power through aggression. They understand that the greatest strength lies in self-control. And once you master yourself, no one can manipulate you. True strength does not come from what happens on the outside. It comes from within you, and when you remain calm, you have already won even before the battle begins. 4. Life is unfair, but that doesn't matter. Perhaps you have felt this way before. You work hard, pour your heart and soul into a project, but the person who gets promoted is a colleague who put in less effort than you. Or you always treat others well, yet they betray your trust. Injustice is an inevitable part of life, and if we let it hurt us, we will forever be caught in a cycle of resentment and disappointment. Stoicism teaches us an important lesson. You cannot change the world to your liking, but you can change how you react to it. Instead of suffering over things beyond your control, focus on the one thing you can master yourself. If you truly understand this, you will no longer see life's unfairness as a burden. You will see it as merely an objective reality, just like the rain or the sun. You cannot change it, but you can decide what to do next. Imagine waking up one day and realizing you have no arms, no legs. What would you do? Would you give up, or would you keep moving forward? Nick Vujicic doesn't need to imagine that because it is his reality. Born with the rare tetra amelia syndrome, he has no limbs, something most people would consider an ultimate misfortune. Nick's childhood was filled with struggles, insecurity, despair, and helplessness. At one point, he wanted to end his life. But then, he realized a profound truth. If he could not change his fate, he would change how he faced it. From being unable to take care of himself, Nick learned to brush his teeth, write, swim, and even play soccer with his small torso. He not only found a way to live independently, but also became an inspirational speaker, touching the lives of millions around the world. Nick has no arms or legs, but he possesses a strength that many able-bodied people do not, an indomitable spirit. He is a living testament to the philosophy of Stoicism. We cannot control our circumstances, but we can always control ourselves. This is the essence of Stoicism. We cannot change reality, but we can choose how to react to it. Imagine standing in the middle of a storm. You can curse the sky for the wind and rain, or you can find shelter and use this time to reflect and grow. A person who lives in resentment will always be a victim of their circumstances. A person who understands Stoicism will not allow external factors to defeat them. So, how can we apply this mindset to our lives? Remember, every time you feel treated unfairly, ask yourself, will getting angry or complaining change the situation? If the answer is no, then you are wasting your time and energy on something meaningless. Instead, focus on what you can control, improving your skills, mastering your emotions, and continuing to move forward. The reality is that life is not always fair, but that doesn't matter. What matters is how you respond. Will you let injustice break you, or will you use it to become stronger? Before we move on to the next, can I ask you a small favor? If you're enjoying what you've learned so far and you're smiling right now, please hit the like button. And hey, if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe. Why? Because when you like and subscribe, you're telling YouTube, "Hey, this content is great," and that helps spread this positive energy to more people who might need a little lift, just like you. So, let's share the joy and make sure more people can join this journey of self-improvement and positivity with us. Now, think about a recent situation where you lost control. Maybe someone insulted you, or a bad day made you explode in anger. Do you think you really lost control, or was it a choice? Let's explore this in the next section. 5. Losing control is a choice. Most of us believe that our emotions are dictated by external circumstances, by how others treat us, by unexpected situations that arise. But if you examine this carefully, you'll realize we don't lose control because of others. We lose control because we choose to. Imagine a familiar situation. You are standing in line at the checkout counter in a supermarket. Ahead of you, someone blatantly cuts in line. You feel a surge of anger. Your heart races. Your hands clench. A part of you wants to immediately protest. But then, you recall an important principle of Stoicism. You cannot control others' actions, but you can control how you react. You have two choices: let anger control you, or remain calm and act with dignity. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "Remember, it is not enough to be hit or insulted to be harmed. You must believe that you are being harmed." This statement reveals a harsh but powerful truth. No one can make you lose control unless you allow it. When someone insults you, if you become angry, it means you have handed over control of your emotions to them. If an unexpected situation makes you panic, it is because you have allowed it to dominate your mind. Think of someone you admire. It could be a former teacher, a respected boss, or even a friend who remains calm in all circumstances. Have you ever wondered why they don't easily lose their temper? What allows them to smile even in the face of criticism? It's not because they never feel anger or disappointment, but because they understand an important principle. Losing control is a choice, and they choose not to lose it. A thought-provoking story. One day, on a crowded train during rush hour, a young man accidentally stepped on an old man's foot. The young man immediately apologized, but the old man simply nodded, continued reading his book, and said nothing. Another passenger, witnessing the scene, curiously asked, "Why aren't you upset? If it were me, I would have scolded him." The old man just smiled and said, "He didn't do it on purpose, and I don't want to waste my time being angry. My anger won't ease the pain in my foot. It would only burden my mind." What can we learn from this story? Most people believe they must react when faced with an undesirable situation, that anger, frustration, or anxiety is inevitable. But in reality, emotions are merely the result of how we interpret events. One person may see line cutting as a disrespectful act and become furious. Another may view it as a test of patience. One person may take criticism as a personal insult, while another may see it as an opportunity to learn. So how can we train our minds to avoid losing control? First, recognize that you always have a choice. When a negative emotion arises, pause and ask yourself, will my reaction be helpful? If the answer is no, why waste energy on it? Remember, silence is sometimes more powerful than any rebuttal. A calm demeanor can unsettle others more than a dozen argumentative words. Second, practice controlling your thoughts. When you notice your mind getting caught up in anger or anxiety, remind yourself, I cannot control others, but I can control myself. This doesn't mean you must tolerate or accept all wrongdoing, but that you learn to respond wisely instead of being led by emotion. Lastly, remember that true strength lies not in the ability to react fiercely, but in maintaining absolute calm, even when everything around you is chaotic. When you master the art of inner peace, nothing can shake you. And that is one of the core principles of Stoicism. You cannot control the world, but you can control how you perceive it. Losing control or not is always your choice. 6. Don't get stuck in the past or the future. Have you ever felt regret over a lost opportunity or worried about things that haven't happened yet? Have you ever found your mind trapped between two uncontrollable realities, the past that is gone and the future that hasn't come? This is how many people live, or rather, how many people exist. But if you want to train your mind to stay calm in any situation, first, you must learn how to break free from this vicious cycle. One of the most important lessons of Stoicism is to live fully in the present, because that is the only thing you truly own. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Roman emperors and also a Stoic philosopher, once said, "Remember that man lives only in the present, in this fleeting instant. All the rest of his life is either past and gone, or not yet revealed." This quote is not just an abstract philosophy, but a practical reminder. We often torment ourselves with unchangeable memories or uncertain future scenarios. But when we do so, we lose the one moment we truly have control over, the present. When the mind is trapped in the past, we cannot change anything. When the mind is lost in the future, we only create more stress. But when we focus on the present, we have the power to act, to change, and to control ourselves. How can we train this ability? The key lies in mindfulness, a technique that Stoic philosophers have practiced for thousands of years. It doesn't require you to meditate for hours or disconnect from the real world. It simply involves a conscious focus on the present, a clear awareness of your breath, your body's sensations, and your surroundings. Every time your mind wanders to the past or the future, gently bring it back to the present. There is a thought-provoking story about tennis champion Novak Djokovic. He once admitted that in the past, he would often obsess over previous losses or fear the outcome of the next match. These thoughts prevented him from focusing and controlling himself in crucial moments. However, everything changed when Djokovic learned to live in each point of the game. Instead of spending time thinking about past mistakes or worrying about things that hadn't happened yet, he learned to completely focus on the present moment. As he began to shift his mindset, losses no longer haunted him. Every point, every shot became an opportunity to demonstrate calmness and decisiveness. It was this emotional control and focus on the details that helped him not only overcome challenges in each match, but also surpass even the toughest opponents. Djokovic's journey shows that success is not just about technical ability, but also about the ability to control the mind and focus on what is happening right in front of you. This is true not only in sports, but in every area of life. If you let the past and the future control you, you will never truly live. But if you focus on the present, you will find peace, strength, and the ability to make better decisions. So what about you? Do you often get stuck in old memories or worry about the future? Share your thoughts in the comments below. 7. Life is chaotic, but calmness lies within you. Life is a series of unpredictable events. You may wake up ready for a wonderful day, but in just a few moments, everything can change dramatically. An unexpected message, a heated argument, or an unforeseen trouble. Chaos is the nature of this world, but there is one thing you can always control: your mind and your reactions. Have you ever realized that your calmness amidst turmoil is your greatest strength? When everything around you becomes tense, when people are easily swept up in panic, the one who can keep their mind still is the true winner. You don't have control over the outside world, but you have full control over how you react. When you truly understand this, you will find strength. Silence is not weakness or passivity. It is a form of the highest power, the power of someone who can control themselves in any circumstance. Imagine you're driving on a crowded road. Another driver suddenly cuts in front of you, causing you to slam on the brakes. You could immediately get angry, honk your horn loudly, and shout harsh words. But ask yourself, will that reaction change the situation? Will it make you feel better, or will it only make you more stressed? Now, imagine a different scenario. When that situation happens, you take a deep breath. You realize that anger won't help. You choose to continue driving calmly, focusing on your journey instead of letting your anger take control. In that moment, not only do you remain calm, but you also avoid making impulsive decisions that could lead to worse consequences. In life, moments like this happen every day. Someone says something offensive to you. A project gets cancelled at the last minute. Someone betrays your trust. But no matter the situation, the important thing is not what happened, but how you respond. When you let your emotions explode unchecked, you are giving your power to the external circumstances. But when you stay calm, you are taking control of your own life. When someone is angry, they want you to be angry too. When someone is anxious, they hope you will worry with them. However, if you can maintain your calm, you refuse to become a victim of their emotions. Calmness is not indifference or avoidance. It is the ability to self-regulate so that you don't get pulled into the negative spiral they are creating. You can learn to control your calmness through everyday situations. Take a simple example: a family argument. Someone says something that makes you want to respond immediately. You feel your heart racing, your body tensing, your mind filled with rebuttals. But instead of responding right away, you choose to pause for a moment. You realize that silence can sometimes be the strongest response. When you don't react the way others expect, they will have to face their own words. They may realize their mistake, or at the very least, they won't be able to drag you into the emotional storm they are creating. True victory is not in who gets the last word, but in who maintains control better. There will be times when life challenges you with unavoidable difficulties. But remember, circumstances don't define you, only how you respond does. There is great power in silence. It is not weakness, but the ultimate expression of inner strength. When you learn to remain calm in any situation, you not only control your emotions, but also control your destiny. So, when the storms of life come, will you let them carry you away? Or will you stand firm in the silence of strength? The answer lies within you. 8. Don't let circumstances define you. Life is an endless flow of events. Sometimes we are born into adversity, grow up in hardship, and face challenges that seem impossible to overcome. In those moments, a question always echoes in our minds: can we change our destiny? Stoicism provides a clear answer. Circumstances do not define who you are. Only your response to those circumstances determines who you are. Imagine a boy born into a poor family. From a young age, he hears whispers around him. This boy will never amount to anything. How can someone born in these circumstances change their life? Society looks at him with pity, as if his fate is already sealed. At first, he believes those words. He thinks that poverty is a sentence, that he has no right to dream of anything beyond what he has. But then, one day, he realizes something. Circumstances are just a temporary backdrop, not an everlasting identity. If he keeps accepting what others impose on him, if he lets circumstances define him, he himself will be the one stopping his own future. And so, he begins to change. Little by little, he learns, trains, seeks opportunities, and persistently moves forward. Stoicism teaches that we cannot control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond to it. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This quote encapsulates the core philosophy of calmness in the face of adversity. What you go through does not define who you are. It is your attitude towards those experiences that truly shapes you. When facing challenges, you have two choices. Either let circumstances define you, or define yourself through how you respond. Those who let circumstances control them will feel helpless, blame their fate, and believe that they have no way of changing their reality. But those who understand the spirit of Stoicism will take a different approach. They accept reality, but do not let it limit their thinking. They look for solutions instead of wallowing in complaints. Returning to the story of the poor boy, what made him change was not some miracle, but a new mindset. I am not my circumstances. I can become anyone if I persist and try hard enough. He realized that the limits others placed on him only have power if he accepts them. And with determination, he eventually overcame all barriers, becoming successful in his own way. You may be in an undesirable situation. Perhaps you were born into hardship or are facing challenges that seem overwhelming. But remember, you are not defined by what you are going through. Facing adversity calmly, without allowing circumstances to shake your belief in yourself, is the essence of a Stoic mindset. When someone tries to label you, when the world wants you to believe that you cannot change, stay silent, face the truth, and remind yourself, I am not limited by circumstances. I am the one who creates my own path. And when you maintain your composure in any situation, when you understand that true strength lies in how you react to the world, nothing can shake you. Calmness is not a natural reaction. It is a skill that needs to be cultivated. Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus emphasize that it is our thinking, not our circumstances, that determines inner peace. When you learn to control your reactions, you not only master your emotions, but also control how the world affects you. Powerful silence, a calm attitude, and the ability to stand firm are the manifestations of a disciplined mind. So, what about you? In your daily life, have you ever applied Stoic calmness? Are there situations where you find it difficult to control your emotions? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share it with those who might need it, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the next content on Stoicism. There are many more profound lessons waiting for you in the videos. Besides this one, keep exploring. See you in the next video.